Going to do a really quick unboxing and review of these two products which I bought in Lidl this morning. This one is a set of 3 thermometers and hygrometers. I paid $4.99 for that, for a set of 3. And this was $9.99, and this is a radio-controlled weather station and ventilation monitor. So, let's open these up and have a look. We're having a bit of a heat wave here in the UK at the moment. And so I got these just so we can monitor the temperature in rooms and things and make decisions on whether to open windows or not. Anyway, here we go. So we get a great thick manual, which is only thick because it's in lots of languages. We get 3 of these little devices, which look like they're going to take one of those lithium button cells. So how do we switch it on? You probably should read the instructions. There's a little pull thing there to pull a piece of plastic out from the battery compartment, whereupon it activates. And it tells me that the temperature in here at the moment is 28.2 Celsius with 68% humidity. Not tremendously comfortable. And we get to calibrate these actually, because in theory all 3 of these should read the same, shouldn't they? Slightly different readings on the humidity, interestingly. 69, 63, 66. I wonder if those will stabilize out. It might be where I've been holding them, because I kind of had them in my hand like that, so my sweaty palm may have made a difference. Anyway, unhappy face. Because yes, it's yeah, they do seem to be stabilizing out at the same level actually, so that's a comfort. So there we go, 3 of those, and I'll put them in different rooms, and that way we can make decisions on, you know, whether to open windows or not. What I'm trying to do is adopt a strategy where if it's cooler outside than in, we open the windows to let the heat out, let the cool air in. Once it gets too warm outside, we'll close up and try to keep the temperature stable. Anyway, so that's those, and that was $4.99 for 3 of those. It really cannot grumble. It's got magnets for sticking it on a fridge. It's got a little keyhole slot for hanging on a pin, and it has a little flip out stand, which looks like it does. Oh, it does flip all the way out to there, so we can stand it up like that as well. Can't really complain for $4.99, can you? And this thing, so this is a bit more of a thing with, again, a big old manual. The outdoor part, oh, little peel here. Wait, there's a peel within a peel. Okay, so that's the outdoor monitoring part. I shall have to read the instructions on placement of this thing, but that takes 2 AAAs, which are provided. This doesn't seem to be tremendously weatherproof, so I think that might need to go out in a sheltered spot. But that's saying it's 27 and 50% humidity, which is interesting. It's different from that. And here's the main event, which is the indoor part of the device. Now I assume that these things are paired with one another in the factory. If you can hear background noise, it is because I've got windows open this morning while it's cool. Okay, there we go. So that's the... Something went beep. I presume that was a beep to indicate that something is paired. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that screen on camera. The viewing angle is a little bit... oh, there is a light. There we go. Yeah, viewing angle's not perfect. Oh, Eva! I'm going to go and read the manual, because there's all sorts of things about whether it's too wet or too dry. There is no indicator here. Maybe it has to calibrate for a little bit or something. then there's time to be set, and so on. So anyway, I'm going to break there. I'll go and get this set up and we'll come back. So we're all set up. I've put one of these on my computer desk, so I've got a visual confirmation of whether it really is as warm as it feels. The other two I think will go in other places in the house, probably one in the bedroom, maybe one in the kitchen or something. And this thing will go in the lounge. And so pairing it is automatic. It's got 3 channels. There's a little channel button on the back, so you can avoid conflicts with your neighbour's device by setting it to a different channel. There's a little channel selector switch in the back there, and you can then press the channel selector here and pair it with that. Setting the clock was pretty easy. It's just one button plus the up and down things. Looks like you can have an alarm as well, but I don't think I'll bother. So it could be an alarm clock. So that's all set up and ready to go. More dry is what it's predicting. Interestingly, it's not got an opinion on whether this is too wet or too dry or whatever at the moment. Now, it does say that this outdoor sensor, it says place the outdoor sensor so it's protected from the direct effects of the weather, e.g. under a porch or carport. The outdoor sensor has protection rating IPX4 and is therefore protected against splashing water. So yeah, you can't just hang that on the wall outside in the rain. It needs to go in the porch or under an awning or under the eaves perhaps, you know, just so it's not directly going to get the rain and the elements beating on it. I've got the perfect place for that. We've got a front porch roof. So all in all, I mean, look at this, 10 quid for basically a weather monitoring station. That's amazing value. And 5 quid for 3 thermometers with humidity sensors. I think that's amazing value. How well this will stand up over time, battery consumption, who can say? But it seems like a pretty solidly built thing. You know, it's got this light on there so we can read it even in challenging conditions. I'm impressed. The manual, there isn't a lot in the manual. Mostly the operation is pretty intuitive, and a lot of the manual is warnings and specifications and stuff like that. The actual bits of the manual you need to read to operate the device is about 3 or 4 pages. Okay, shrimp from the future. One teeny tiny complaint, and it really is so trivial I almost hesitate to mention it. I went to hang this up and the keyhole plate on the back there is so small that even quite small screws won't fit into it. I had to go and have a rummage in the garage and find this, which I think is like a number 2 screw. That one does fit, but your standard, even small wood screws are not going to fit in there. A picture hook or a tack obviously would fit. So yeah, hardly a problem, but they could have made that hole just a bit bigger. Okay, I'm not going to go into massive depth in the testing and everything like that, but this is genuinely useful. So we can see it's 21 outside, 21.5 outside, it's 24 inside. In this heat wave, it's worth having the windows open because we're going to be getting cooler air in. There are other things to consider, the humidity and whatnot, but just that differential between the temperatures is worth knowing about for managing the heat inside the house. I'll just do a little brief bit on the other functions of this display in a moment. And similarly, these smaller devices have got actually quite a lot of information on them. Not just the temperature and humidity, but they're doing calculations about whether you should feel comfortable. Obviously, those things have to make assumptions and generalizations. So if you have a health condition, they might not be true for you. However, as a general rule of thumb, you know, these things are telling you, because of the combination of humidity and temperature, you should be able to feel comfortable. Now, I'm not saying it's good to have something that's telling you how you should feel, but at a glance to say, is it me or is it the conditions, is quite useful. Here's a more or less complete rundown of the display features on the weather station device. First, the kind of admin functions. Down here in the corner, there's the clock. There would be an alarm symbol here if the alarm was set. The top light button also functions as a snooze for the alarm, and when the alarm's been snoozed, there would be a symbol here. And there would be a low battery symbol here if this indoor display needed new cells, and one here if the outdoor sensor needed them. And the channel on which it is communicating with the outdoor sensor is displayed here. Now the weather station functions. Obviously indoor temperature and humidity are displayed here and outdoor here. There's a button on the back to switch between display in Celsius and Fahrenheit if you prefer one or the other. There's a graphical display that tells you whether it thinks you should open or close the windows. In this photo, it's in the state where it's making no recommendation at all. But if it thinks you should open the windows, it would do this, and if it thinks you should close them, this. In addition, there is a general comfort assessment indicator down here, a ventilation rating here. The printed manual doesn't say anything about how to interpret the ventilation rating, but there is a QR code on the manual which goes to the Lidl service site where you can find more detailed manuals for all of their products. So this thing is telling you how the indoor air humidity will change if you ventilate the house. It will either get more wet, it won't change, or it will become more dry. There is a mold alarm that you can configure to go off when the indoor humidity exceeds a certain level, which can be set at any level between 65 and 75 inclusive. If that's set, an alarm will sound and a symbol will flash here if that level of humidity is reached. And you can get it to show you the maximum and minimum recorded values for indoor and outdoor temperature and humidity. You press the MEM button on the back and those recorded values are displayed along with a min or max indicator here and here. Then the memory is reset, so it's always showing you the min and max readings since you last looked. There are 3 radio channels, so according to the manual you can attach 3 separate outdoor sensors. That is, the channels are not just for avoidance of neighbour devices. Although the range of the transmitter is 100 metres, so I'm not exactly sure who would be measuring 3 different kinds of outdoor climate within 100 metres of their house. But maybe you could put an additional transmitter in a greenhouse or shed or other outbuilding so as to be able to monitor that without actually going there. So quite a lot of potential function. I don't imagine I will use all of it, but the basic stuff, including the ventilation recommendation, is what I really wanted. Now onto the small thermometer hygrometer units, and here there's also a little bit more going on than initially meets the eye. There's a display of current temperature and humidity, and again there's a min-max function accessed by a button on the back, and again resetting after use, so showing you the min and max since you last checked. There's a trend indicator just showing you whether the temperature and humidity is recently increasing, steady or decreasing. And there's a comfort indicator displayed on the face icon as a smile for comfortable, a frown for wet, and expressionless for too dry. And the same values are also shown in text. Not sure why it's shown in both ways like this, but it is. I did wonder whether the droplet symbols here might indicate the attainment of some specific value or level of humidity, but I think it's just to remind you that that number is the humidity and not something else. So that's it for that one. So there we go. That was the radio control weather station ventilation monitor and the set of 3 thermometer and hygrometers from Lidl, Livarno brand. Tremendous value for money. I'm quite impressed. I hope that's been interesting. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.